Hi everyone, I'm Metal. Today we're going to go over how to make photorealistic hardwood flooring in Blender using a couple of node groups that I made to make it a little bit easier. First thing you're going to want to do is head to the Gumroad link in the description and download the .blend file that we will be appending to our own work to get the materials and the node groups that we're working on. So then once you've got that saved, go ahead, open up Blender, start a new file. If you've already got a file going and you want to add the wood texture to it, you can just use that. I am going to delete the default cube and add a plane, scale it up, apply the scale. Put my screen cap keys on so you can see what's going on. Cool, there we go. So in order to have the material available to use, we're going to append it from wherever we downloaded it. I'm going to go to wherever you download it, get Nettles Wood and Brickmaker, .blend, and then we're going to go to Material, Hardwood 1. You could append the individual node groups if that's all you're using, but this will get it all in one quick and easy step. Go head on over to our shading tab, and making sure we have our plane highlighted. Click the material drop down here and you can just choose hardwood 1, and there you go, there's hardwood. We're in look dev in Eevee right now. We can look in cycles, it works there too. I often like to have an HDRI set up so I can view it a little better, but I think we'll just do this in look dev to make it quick and easy. So just give you a quick rundown of what's going on. Let's pull this up. So we've got our Nettles Wood and Brickmaker. I'm going to Control-Shift-T. Screen cap keys isn't working over here, but I will just say it and tell you what I'm doing. Control-Shift-T will show us, if we have Node Wrangler add-on enabled, will show us what's coming out of each of these. And then to get rid of it, Control-Shift-T on our principled BSDF. Nettles Wood and Brickmaker makes the brick patterns. You can adjust things like the rounding of the bricks, and you can add mortar between them. I say bricks, we're doing wood, but you can use it for both. You see when I add the mortar, the random rotation is all the way up, so it starts to rotate. It will generally only rotate as far as is possible without making a mess. There are some situations where it's over-rotates, but for the most part, it'll calculate that for you so you don't have to worry about it. We're going to have our mortar width all the way to 0. We can change the lengths of our boards. You see it's negative right now. That's to make herringbone. It's just sort of a crisscross pattern that wood is in. And if we do it down to 2, kind of looks like bricks. We have it comes in stock rotated like this, but you can cancel that out to 0 if you don't want it. Positive board lengths will just give us boards all in a row. Let's go to random colors so we can see that a little better. That is not random colors, but this is. We can adjust our board length. We can adjust our board height. We can only do that for positive values for non-herringbone ones. Quick rundown of what else is there. We'll go to back to the principled BSDF so we can actually see what it looks like with the color applied. That'll load eventually. This material works in Eevee. It's a little on the heavy side for it, but it does give excellent results. Bevel is deals with the edge of the wood. So bevel end, we can see is that there, and then bevel side deals with this. We can change the shape of it. Instead of being just straight, we can make it closer to round over here. Cupping is the deformation of the boards. Cupping short is the one you're going to most want to use along the width of the board. or along the whole length of the board across the short axis. And so positive numbers are cupping in, negative numbers are cupping out. If we want a little variation in that, we can use our cupping variation, and that will make it a little bit randomized just so it's not so straightforward. Tilt long axis, just randomly tilts the boards on the long axis. Short axis is the same thing. Mortar height, you don't really need that because we're not using mortar. And seed value just gives us sort of a different starting point. If there's a board or two or that you don't quite like where they are, just pick a seed value till it looks good. So our outputs from that go into this hardwood node group. So our height and tilt, our random color per cell, and a rotation map that just shows us how much each cell is rotated. So your output of this is essentially what our final output's going to be. This is just the color, but it's got our roughness and height to plug into our principled shader as well. We can adjust the grain scale to make the grain bigger and smaller. I just threw it into negative values, and that's way too high. Usually keeping it around 1 or in the range of like 0.1 to 2 or 3 is what I usually do. We can see we got bigger grain there. Color blending scale, turn that way down. We can get sort of patterns like this. I usually don't mess with that. Keep it around 1, keep the texture scale around 1. If you have issues where your textures are looking way too fine or way too coarse, these are the ones you mess with. These are all the colors in the wood. You can adjust them just lighter and darker. That looks horrible. Or you can actually change the hues until you get the colors that you want. Color blending is do the color changes happen at the edge of the boards or just sort of randomly along the way? So all the way 1 is only at the edge of the boards. All the way at 0 is it's much more random. I, again, usually keep that about in the middle. Grain circles is how much of just circles is the grain. All the way 0, it's mostly straight. All the way to the end, it's mostly based on circles. Usually somewhere in the middle is better. Roughness, pretty self-explanatory. Grain depth is how much the grain affects the surface height. That'll change your reflections. Waves is just irregularities in the surface, just to make it look less perfect. And then dense is we just get some random denting along the boards just to make it look like it's a little worn, a little less perfect again. It comes with this Hardwood 1 texture, which is, I think, a pretty useful one. If you adjust the roughness values and the color values, I think you can use it in many situations. If you really need to get up close and personal and want to see the surface shape instead of using a bump node, you can use displacement. I will go over that in more detail in another video. This is just the overview of it. If there's anything specific you want to see about setting this, please let me know in the comments. And I hope this is a good starting point for your wood textures. I hope to add some brick and maybe tile shaders to this as well, so you can use the same wooden brick maker with a different coloring shader or node group. Let me know which of those would be useful to you. I'm having a good time making them. I plan on doing this in a little more detail in another video, but just real quick, if you don't want to use the pre-made material and instead want to use the node groups on their own, once you have appended that material, when you go to Shift-A, Add, you can go to Group here and you'll have all of them. Nettles Wooden Brick Maker is the tile generator. You'll see it doesn't do a thing. It's because it needs a texture coordinate. You can use UVs or generated, and there we go. We can use it like any other, like our standard brick texture. It just has a little more a lot more control over the shape of things. You can add in the hardwood shader, and you can use that with the stock brick texture that comes with Blender, with other brick textures. We'll go into a little more detail on how to do that in another video, but I thought I'd just give you the basics so you can get started if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and have a good one. Make good choices if you'd like.